There's nothing more turbulent when it comes to AEW than its women's division. Whether it's talent, time on the show, matches, storylines, all of it. There's been some high highs and some low lows that you could point to. Going into this match, I feel like it's actually kind of important to understand where we were on that scale at this point. Unfortunately, it's not really any good news because on the one hand, you had a Jade Cargill TBS title reign that was going on way too long. Then on the other, you had the Outcasts taking up most of the time the women would get on the TV to do, their thing. Of course, it wasn't all bad though. The women were getting consistent time on the TV show and there were consistent efforts at storylines being made, which, looking back to where the division was not that long before this, was a good thing overall. But it wasn't the best thing. That title goes to Jamie Hayter, who is currently in the midst of her AEW Women's World title run. A reign that I think everyone knew was gonna be happening before it even happened, given the fact that you could see Jamie becoming the face of the division in real time over the course of this year. Truthfully, how could you not see this coming? If you were one of the deniers, I don't get it. She had the look. She was probably the best wrestler in the division at the time, and most of all, she was getting so over, to the point where I would even argue she was up there in contention for the most popular act in AEW at one point. I mean, sure, you had the Elite, Danielson, Darby, and definitely some others, but the support for Jamie just kind of felt different. It felt like the AEW audience believed in her to take this division to new heights, to a level of importance it had never been before. It was a trust that was built up throughout the entire year of 2022 through great performances night in and night out, which is funny because I feel like her opponent in the match we're going to be covering today, Hikaru Shida, built her popularity in AEW the same way. Of course, by this point, when this match took place, she was already very established, but when she was first getting started, that's how it was. And while we'll get into it a couple times throughout this video, I have to make this clear. This is a very different Hikaru Shida than the one you see today, to the point where she stood out as AEW's second best women's wrestler on TV at the time. So to put it simply, on December 21st, 2022, it was a clash of the titans. Some of the biggest, most popular, the best talents in the women's division battling out for the ultimate prize in that division, the AEW Women's World Championship. It truly is no wonder this match became what it was. This is Hayter versus Shida, setting the standard. Before we jump into the review though, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel because, as you all may know, no matter what, we're always talking grabs. Shida makes her entrance first, and I gotta say, her gear looks incredible. Many of you may know I'm kind of a gear merchant, and I really did forget how cool she looked at this time. Not that she doesn't look cool now, but I think this is definitely her best look. She really did have that warrior vibe that she strives to capture, and for me, that kind of adds to the match going into it. Same thing goes for Jamie Hayter too, who comes out to a loud ovation, determined and ready to invoke All Japan Women's Wrestling, which commentary had mentioned she specifically named going into this affair. Given that, of course after the introductions, Jamie swings for the fences as soon as the bell rings. Right then thereafter, an all-out slugfest ensues in the opening minute of the match, and that's exactly how you'd want it to be. Also, right away, do you remember how I said this is a different Shida than the one you see today? Yeah, she is laying those strikes in. Knees, elbows, forearms, doesn't matter. They all look so good, and it did kind of make me a little sad. However, no time to dwell on that just yet, because we're heading into a picture-in-picture, except, usually you'd slow down in a picture-in-picture. Usually you'd kind of grab a hold or something like that. These two don't. They keep up that same pace and they're still slugging it out throughout the break. Shida rocks Jamie with knees in the corner first, then she gets elevated head first into the buckle and then proceeds to kind of get stomped into a puddle by Jamie right after. And not just right after, it does continue for the entire rest of the break, to be quite honest with you. The match at this point has stayed brutal since the opening bell, and it will continue to stay brutal as both women still are laying in those stiff strikes. Later, Shida heads to the top rope, seemingly going for a tornado DDT to the outside. Too bad Jamie has other plans though, as she pulls Shida down, sending Shida, well, more specifically her lower back, crashing into the apron. This produces a nasty thud, and while I don't think that was necessarily what they had in mind, in fact, I definitely don't think that's what they had in mind, I have to admit, it looks damn good and uber brutal. So it does nothing but add to the match for me. And what I will say too, it definitely added to the crowd as well, because they kind of gasped at the sound of this move. It was sick. However, that won't be the only time that this crowd will gasp this very minute, because as the two trade on the apron, Shida suplexes Jamie onto the floor. A nasty, nasty bump for Hayter as she really thuds onto the thinly matted concrete below. Of course, given what we know now about her back injury at the time, this probably hurt like hell. I mean, shit, it would have hurt without the back injury, to be quite honest with you. But even without all the modern day context you might have, pull yourself back in that time, pull yourself in the moment of this match. Jamie sells this to perfection. She really makes a point of emphasizing that she's fucked up, which means now she's weakened. Shida pounces with strikes to the face, but Jamie, determined to fight through the pain, hits her back with a straight boot to the face. However, Shida pops right back up with a well-placed knee onto a charging Hayter, taking us to our first of many incredible near falls that this match has to offer. Of course, knowing Hayter is feeling it now, Shida ramps up the aggression and she ramps up the pace, wasting no time to get to the top rope for a textbook Meteora. Quickly, that takes us to a Falcon Arrow, which produces another great near fall. Now is when you really start to hear how into this match the crowd had gotten. They're loud, reacting on bated breath for every single pinfall. These two have them in the palm of their hands now. Shida then takes Jamie up to the top rope, but Jamie counters with a headbutt, which is something that I would have wished we saw more of in this match, to be quite honest with you. Jamie tries following that up with a moonsault, a move that I had forgotten she even had in her bag at this point. Of course it looks gorgeous, but it doesn't connect, giving Shida the opportunity to hit Jamie with a brutal looking knee for another amazing near fall. The katana is nearly unsheathed next, but Jamie falls over, baiting Shida in as she lifts her up for an incredible looking neckbreaker that Roddy Strong would be proud of. It's at this very point that on rewatch, I start popping huge. I realize what stretch we're in, the closing kind, and I get locked in. It's crazy because, again, I've seen this match before. This is a rewatch, but I just got sucked in like I was back when I watched it the first time. It was incredible. It was a really sick feeling. It's one of the best feelings that comes with watching wrestling. This feeling is accompanied by "This is awesome" chants that break out almost immediately after that last near fall. Jamie then rocks Shida with a hate breaker for another great near fall that the fans are biting for even harder. Jamie then goes for a haterade, but no. Shida counters by hitting a knee, followed by a series of kicks. The champ is rocked, and again, she's in a prime position for Shida to unsheath the katana. But it's a no again from Hayter. She baits her in by falling over once again, goes for a haterade after the bait, but she gets caught. Shida counters, release German, stunning Hayter. This looks nasty. It's here where Britt Baker gets on the apron trying to distract Shida, while Reba, not Rebel, tries to distract the ref. Both smart moves from Jamie's friends, but annoying ones for me because of the obvious. Britt hilariously struggles to get into the ring, but once she does, Shida rocks her with a kendo stick, and that's enough of that. Unfortunately, as wrestling fans though, we know that a distraction at that point means the match is going to be coming to a close, and we kind of feel that as Jamie gets Shida up for a power bomb. But no, counter into a roll up by Shida, but rolled through by Hayter, who picks her up and power bombs her through the mat. 1, 2, no. Shida kicks out once again and the crowd starts losing their shit. It's at this point where they're fully bought in that maybe, just maybe, this could be Shida's time. This is just the first title defense of Jamie Hayter's reign, but they have fully got the crowd to invest in this being a switch. It's incredible, and big time credit to both of these women for being able to do that. That is tough. Jamie hastily gets up after this though, sets Shida up for a lariat, hits her clean. 1, 2, not again. Shida continues to survive. The crowd is just stunned at this point, more so than like reacting huge. They are really shocked, but they don't have much time for much else though, as Hayter brings Shida up for a haterade, and finally puts the Shining Samurai away. This match is the epitome of what women's wrestling in AEW should look like at its highest level. At this point too, it was pretty widely considered to be the consensus best women's match in AEW history, and if you still held that opinion to this day, I wouldn't argue with you. The physicality, grandiose, and energy hasn't been matched as many times as you maybe hoped it would following this match. And to that point, it is a little unfortunate to see where women's wrestling in AEW is right now. And there's certainly been much worse times in its history. I mean, shit, at least they're given one match a show and they're given time on the show, which, you know, should be the bare minimum. We all know this, but there's a time when it wasn't. And I mean, just look at the difference in build to last year's All-In women's title match to this year's. There's been a clear shift there. Thing is though, looking back to where AEW was 2 years ago when this match took place, I'm not sure much has changed fundamentally when it comes to the women's division. To this day, there's still not been a women's match in AEW to go over 20 minutes. And while I don't want to be a stopwatch viewer, and I'm not trying to say that a match needs to be over 20 to be good, there probably should have been one by now at this point. I mean, right? Again, though, like I said, it is better, but it's very clear that it could be better still. And after watching this match, I'm desperate to see more like it if they're given that chance consistently. Just this last weekend, I should say, we did see it again with Mercedes Moné versus Chris Statlander. That match actually felt a lot like Hikaru Shida did, and it's why I loved it so much. It was my favorite match on Full Gear. But aside from all the broad women's wrestling and AEW talk, there is a lot to be said about Jamie Hayter and Hikaru Shida these days as individual wrestlers. Hayter got this reign that she's in the midst of at this point cut short due to injury, and she's still trying to work herself back. Shida has lost a step and does struggle to be who she once was. The thing about wrestling is though, it doesn't matter where you are now. It doesn't matter where you were before a match took place. In any given moment, you can catch fire. And on December 21st, 2022, Hikaru Shida and Jamie Hayter caught lightning. They put on a match that became the standard after it was done. That doesn't happen very often. I know that I'll always cherish this match between two of my favorite wrestlers to watch ever for that reason. And I hope in the future we can see even more that look just like it, because this is what AEW is all about to me. With that being said, that's going to do it for the video, everybody. I hope you all have enjoyed spending your time with me talking graps. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video below. Comment your thoughts on this match, any memories, what it may mean to you, anything, also down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos just like these, where we're always talking graps. Thank you all so much for watching. It's been Novi. Much love to each and every one of you. Peace.